Every business coach in the world will tell me it's a terrible business idea, it's a terrible business model, but I don't care. I'm a craftsman to the T. I love what we do, and I want to provide the highest quality athletic development training atmosphere that we possibly can, and that includes making sure that our rehab is as high quality and as accessible as possible.
Yeah, straight A student, but I'm friends with the cool kids. Following the rules and the rubric. Freestyle on the bus.
What's up, everybody? My name is Dr. Zach Geiser, and this is another entry into the Athlete Development Journal, where we take complex athletic problems and provide simple solutions. Got our coffee in hand bright and early this morning? Let's get it. For our mental deep dive today, I'm going to challenge you parents a little bit to step outside of your comfort zone, because that's the best thing for your kid in their long-term development. Now, bear with me here. A couple of months ago, actually probably longer than a couple months ago, I was listening to an episode of a podcast called Money Wise. Money Wise is this podcast for people who are super rich already, and it's about learning how to spend their money or talking to different people about how they allocate their money. Don't ask me why I listen to some episodes of Money Wise. I really honestly don't know. I'm not in a, hey, I have a bunch of money situation. I'm more in a let's make it paycheck to paycheck. Hey, can we transfer some money over to make ends meet this month type of situation? But I like the guy who runs the podcast, and I think there's a lot of interesting people on there. So I listened to some episodes of it, and they had this one episode with Dr. Becky Kennedy, and some of you might have heard of Dr. Becky Kennedy before. She's the Good Inside person. So she's a child psychologist who is famous for creating the method and writing a book called Good Inside. And the host was talking to Dr. Becky Kennedy because he was concerned about raising children that are spoiled and lazy because he's already wealthy. His problem was, right now, him and his kids can afford anything they'd ever want. He didn't grow up like that. Part of the reason he got to the place where he was, he has the drive, he has the ambition, he has the work ethic to get to what he got to, was because he didn't come from means. He didn't come from a place of having all of that. He had a chip on his shoulder. And so he wants to know, how can I ensure that my kids are hardworking and dedicated at something? They're not spoiled and lazy, because we all know that cliche, that stereotype exists for a reason. It's the rich, spoiled, lazy brats. I definitely know some very wealthy people who have really well-adjusted, hardworking kids. So obviously it's an overly gross generalization, but that generalization exists for a reason. So he wants to know, how can I make sure my kids are not spoiled and lazy? And her answer was actually pretty simple. It was, make sure your kids see you do things that you don't want to do, and make sure they see you do that on a regular basis. And the host's response was something along the lines of, so my kids should see me put away my own laundry and stuff. And I got a little chuckle out of that. That led me down a different train of thought that, we'll tangent off here for a second and get back to the main point. Why would you wait until you have means to have kids if the best thing you can do to raise well-adjusted kids is have them see you do things that you don't want to do, right? So right now I'm at a phase in my life where I have to do a lot of things that I don't want to do in that moment. I love my job. I love what I do. I love my life. I have an amazing life, but I have to go to work every single day, even whenever I don't want to. I have to write programs every single day when I don't want to. I have to pay taxes. I have to do all of these things. I have to keep things running on the back end of the business. And my kids know that. They see that. They don't like when daddy leaves early in the morning to come record this podcast, but they see it happen, and they see what hard work and dedication looks like right now. And that's out of necessity, obviously. But if I was wealthy right now, the best thing for them would be to do the same things I'm doing right now, And so in this way, in this method, they're going to see the struggle. They're going to see me go through and do things I don't want to do. And then hopefully on the back end of all of this, whenever they've gone through their important development phases, we get to a much more affluent, stable position where we get to live the life of comfort. And, I'm never going to be a luxury type of person, but our version of luxury in the future for me and Rachel. Anyways, side tangent. I don't even know if I might just cut that out of the podcast. We'll see. But anyways, I love the simplicity of Dr. Becky Kennedy's answer. It's just have them see you do things you don't want to do, and do that on a regular basis, because you want to model the behaviors that you want your kids to take after. That's the best and most important thing you can do as a parent, is to model the behaviors you want them to have in the future. For those of you who are like me and aren't yet rich enough to have to worry about faking those situations where you have to do things you don't want to do, make sure that your struggle, or make sure elements of your struggle, are both visible and relevant to them. Yes, you might have to deal with a lot of office politics. You might be grinding out some stuff on some spreadsheets, and you might be dealing with some absolute nonsense at work that you have to deal with. But that's not visible to them. They don't see what's going on behind that computer, and it's not relevant to them. They don't understand the context of that. And so make sure that you are doing things that are hard and challenging and they're are visible to your kids and relevant to them, thinking, wow, I see what my dad is doing right now. It's not going to be on a conscious level. They're not going to look at you and think you're Superman all of a sudden. That'd be nice, but that's not going to be the case. It's something that registers and it helps mold who they are and what adult life should look like. And so no, I am biased in this situation, but I do think that the most pragmatic, practical, universal, and probably best example of something you can do is to train and exercise hard. Have a goal, have something that you're shooting for from an athletic, from a fitness standpoint, and work towards that goal on a regular basis. Because guess what? I do this for a living and I don't want to train most days, right? Some days I do and I wake up and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I can't wait to go do that. But like a lot of the days, like I got a lot going on. I'm underslept. I got a 4-year-old. I got a 2-year-old. I got a business that's demanding a lot out of us right now. And going and working out really hard and challenging my systems is not something my brain says, yeah, let's go do that right now. But I do it anyways because I know personally the long-term ramifications it has, but I also know how valuable it is to have your kids see you do those things. So if you don't want to raise kids that are spoiled, lazy, and entitled, make sure you're doing things that you don't want to do and your kids see you do those on a regular basis. For our physical deep dive this morning, I want to talk about the posterior knee, so the back of the knee and some of the issues that go alongside with it. Now, I first became interested in this area whenever I was in college. I think I was going into my junior season and I went up in spring ball for an interception. So I broke on it was deep middle. I actually think I still have the video, and if I can find it, I'm going to plug it in here and play it for you guys. But I was playing deep middle, broke on a ball, went up for an interception, dropped the pick midair. It was entirely unathletic. And so I'm coming down, trying to regather the ball. And as I land in an awkward position where I hyperextended because I was trying to readjust for the ball. I hyperextended my left knee and I just shoot down. I had a lot of pain in the backside of my knee. And the training staff was pretty worried about it. And so they're going through the differential diagnosis. The nice thing about playing Division I sports is that you have a lot of your medical needs met relatively instantaneously. And so I was taken the next day to go get an MRI. So I was worried. I've got a hyperextension knee injury that doesn't look too good. Like, and again, if I could find this video, it was a pretty aggressive hyperextension. So I was pretty concerned. Like, do I have something structural going on here? We get the radiology report back and it was a gastrocnemius injury, and gastrocnemius is your calf. And I'm thinking, I hurt the back of my knee. What do you mean I hurt my calf? And so from this point forward, I was kind of fascinated with how convoluted the back of the knee can be. So I first became interested in this area out of my own concern. But then as I started training athletes, as I started rehabbing athletes, it's something that pops up relatively often. We do deal with a lot of posterior knee pain. So I want to talk about some of the stuff that can actually be going on back there. And I want to give you some solutions that you can kind of work through as well. So for those of you who are listening on a video mechanism, so Spotify, YouTube, I think Apple Podcasts is now going to allow videos. So if that's possible, I'm going to throw this up on there. But yeah, so for those of you who are on a video platform, I am going to be screen sharing the Complete Anatomy app so that we can work through some of this new stuff here. All right, so I'm going to start off with this viewpoint just for frame of reference. You can see we're on the back side of the body, and I'm going to zoom in to the back of the knees here. And so the first thing that I want to point out is you have a couple of big, strong muscles that course through the back of the knee here. So coming from the top down, you've got your hamstring muscles. You've got your 3 hamstring muscles. You've got your biceps femoris, which goes on the outside. We call it the lateral aspect. And then you've got your 2 inside ones, your medial ones, which are your semimembranosus and your semitendinosus. So your hamstrings are made up of 3 muscles. Those 3 muscles all go down and kind of wave out to the outside of the back of the knee. So they cross over from the thigh bone, which is your femur, down into the lower shin bones, which is your fibula and tibia, respectively, for your biceps femoris and your semitendinosus and membranosus. Then, from coming from the bottom up, you got your gastrocnemius. You got the outside, which is going to be your lateral head, and you got your medial head, which is going to be your inside. So your calf muscle, your main calf muscle, has two different parts to it. We have another calf muscle, which is your soleus, which goes underneath, but it doesn't cross over through the backside of the knee, so we're not going to go over that today. And you've also got your plantaris, which is a little bit deeper here. That's missing in 8 to 12% of the population. I believe it's something around those stats. But again, another muscle that can play a role and can course through the back that posterior aspect of the knee. So your hamstrings go from the top down, so they cross over from the femur to the tibia and fibula, and then you've got your gastrocnemius, which goes from the bottom up and crosses in reverse order, and so it attaches up onto the femur. And so those muscles are already kind of crisscrossing and layered over top of each other. So you've got some convolution already starting to happen just with those muscles right there. It gets even more complex as we unlayer some of these bigger muscles and we focus on what lies underneath. And you can see plantaris right there, long muscle that starts on the femur and then runs all the way down into the ankle there. Let me take another layer of muscle off here. And so from here, you can see all of the connective tissue stuff that we're dealing with. So we don't just have muscles that we have to deal with. We've got all the ligaments and the capsule to deal with. So you've got your oblique popliteal ligament, which is actually, believe it or not, considered a continuation of your hamstring muscles. Your hamstring muscle, your semimembranosus, runs down to the tibia and then courses back up. And they've done studies, which I had a hard time believing at first. They've done studies that do show that this is, in our best understanding, a continuation of the semimembranosus, but it completely changes direction and becomes the oblique popliteal ligament. And that, you can see, gives a lot of support to the posterior capsule there. And so that can be important for differentiating what's going on there as well. You've got a ton of other ligaments that give a lot of support. And then you've also just got that posterior aspect of the capsule itself, which can become dense and can become a little bit fibrotic, depending on what you're dealing with there. I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention popliteus here. So popliteus, I'm going to isolate it. You can see it originates on the tibia over here, and then it inserts into the femur. So again, this is something else that crosses that knee joint. Now, all of these muscles and ligaments, this is what they look like whenever this person is standing straight with their knee extended. If you imagine that all of these muscles and ligaments are different ropes and strings, you can kind of imagine what would happen whenever that knee bends. And so you're straight, the knee's extended, and then you bend, all of those ligaments and muscles are going to get a little bit slackened on the back part of the knee. And so those ropes can kind of crisscross a little bit and do some rubbing, and it makes that area even more convoluted when you go to straighten it back out. So I say all this to say that there's a lot that can be going on back there. Just because you have pain in the back of the knee, you've got an issue in the back of the knee, doesn't make it super clear about what exactly is going on. That's why we have radiology reports. And that's why we have to go through some clinical testing to kind of differentiate out what's going on. But regardless, I want to make this actionable and I want to provide you with some solutions. So I want to provide some stuff that we can work through. And so whenever I see somebody who has posterior knee pain and maybe we don't have an idea of exactly what's going on, let's say we've ruled out ligamentous structural issues, like we're not concerned for an ACL injury, we're not concerned for a PCL injury, we're not concerned for anything truly structural, we're not concerned for a meniscal injury. Let's just say we're working through this conservatively, we've got some lingering, nagging posterior knee pain. Here are some of the interventions I like to try. I want to do some sort of soft tissue work. And so that can be by yourself with a foam roller or with a ball where you're rolling out the back of the knee, kind of scratching where it itches, wherever it feels like it needs it. Maybe you're pressing in a little bit there. But if you've got the option, what I do with our athletes, I like to pull out the tools or my hands and we'll start doing some soft tissue massage. Because of that strong relationship we talked about between the semimembranosus and the oblique popliteal ligament, I like to work on semimembranosus, that medial hamstring, a little bit more to hopefully relax the muscle belly, which gives a little bit more relaxation throughout that entire chain there, which can take some stress off that oblique popliteal ligament if we've got something that we're concerned about the posterior capsule. And so I like to work on the inside of the hamstring. I like to work on directly on that back of the knee area where it's where it's bothering you at. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't recommend doing some calf work there as well, doing some soft tissue work on the calf, because we do have, you can see both those medial and lateral heads do work up through there. And so if we can provide some relaxation there, we can calm down the whole system. We can relax the muscle tone. It gives us a window of opportunity to create some longer term changes. And so after we've done some soft tissue work there, I want to take you through some range. That might be a band hamstring series where we're stretching the hamstring out. It might be some PNF stretching where I have you pushing down into my shoulder for 5 seconds, and then we relax, try to take you a little bit further. Then after that, I really want to make sure that we're getting some strength through those end ranges. So we're going to prop up your foot onto a box, do some 90-90 hamstring, overcoming isometrics. I like to put our athlete's foot on a dynamometer so we have some feedback, and it shows you how high that number is getting. You see how high you're pushing. I like to take you, and I say 90-90, but if I can, I'm going to take you more towards an open knee angle to get you into more extension to work it through a little bit more of that end range there. That's representative of what you're going to get to whenever you sprint. And then I'm a really big fan of some supine cable, single leg, straight leg hip extension. So we're going to have you laying on your back, tie a cable up nice and high, strap it onto your ankle. We're going to have that foot go all the way up. Keep your leg straight and then contract all the way back down, keeping that leg straight through the entire process. But yeah, so there's a lot that goes on the backside of the knee. So if you're dealing with some issues out there, just know that you're not alone. It's convoluted, it's complex, it's kind of a crammed area. You've got 3 big, strong hamstring muscles going through there. You've got 2 big, strong calf muscles that go through there. You've got your plantaris, you've got your popliteus, you've got all those individual ligaments, then you've got that posterior capsule. And so there's a lot that's kind of compressed into that small little area right there. And so it can take some time to work out. Just make sure you work with a healthcare practitioner to come up with a smart plan, execute that smart plan with elite intensity, and execute that smart plan with elite consistency, and hopefully you start to see some results. So what's going on at GT right now? We've got a lot, and I want to work through some of that today with you. First, I want to go into our athletes, some of the wins that they've had. We had Alana Graft hit a PR on her trap bar deadlift. She hit 195 pounds for a 3-piece nugget. Really cool for her there. Alana also hit 90 pounds for her 3-rep max on bench press, so girl is getting strong. We got Jackson Loudon, Farmer J himself, hit 405 on the trap bar deadlift. He hit it for 5. We got a video of him hitting it for 3. Excited he got the big boy plates on there. He got those 4 plates on there, feeling good, getting ready for college ball next month. Emerson Wilkins, shout out you. You hit 2 chin-ups. That's awesome. She comes in here, big smile on her face, super bubbly personality. Love to see her get some wins. She's been working hard. One of our newer ones. Really excited about the progress she's made so far. We got my man Asher Long, a young buck, has been balling out recently. We got a 412 on the 1010 shuttle to the right. We got a 409 on the 1010 shuttle to the left, both of which are big PRs. He's a fantastic young man, works his tail off. Tells me he juggles the ball like 2,000 reps in a row is his record, and I believe it. I see what he does in here. Just a really, really hard worker. Really excited about him. The young man has a bright future in the soccer world. Make sure you keep an eye on that name. Now I finally get to reveal some of the announcements that we've been working on. I teased these a little bit before, but I did announce to all of our active clients last week that now physical therapy is just included in your membership. Like, that's it, straight up. So for our youth, our high school / college, and our Ever Athlete memberships, physical therapy is just included if you need it. If you get hurt, you just shoot me a message on our secure messaging system. And if I think it warrants a physical therapy evaluation, we evaluate it and then we treat it. Every business coach in the world will tell me it's a terrible business idea. It's a terrible business model, but I don't care. I'm a craftsman to the T. I love what we do, and I want to provide the highest quality athletic development training atmosphere that we possibly can. And that includes making sure that our rehab is as high quality and as accessible as possible. So we've been able to workshop that system, make it make sense, make it work. And we're starting to implement that now, which is really, really exciting. And then a big announcement that I want to make sure I can get some of your help with is we're going to start a homeschool physical education program here a couple days a week in the fall. So if you or somebody you know is a homeschooled athlete or a homeschooled parent, we can take care of your physical education in-house here at GT Performance. For you elementary, middle, or high school athletes who are homeschooled, maybe some of you are athletes who compete and you compete at a high level or you want to compete at a high level. We can provide that high quality training experience for you. But if you're somebody who just wants to get your physical education, if you're a homeschooled athlete who just wants to get your physical education in, you want to make sure that you have fun, you have a good environment to get that phys ed in, we can provide that as well. This is going to be in the mid morning. So this is going to be perfect time after you've done some of your schoolwork, you need a break, come on into GT, move around, get athletic, have some fun, and then get back to whatever you got to get to afterwards. So we do have a very limited number of spots. This is something new that we're going to roll out. And so it's going to be kind of on a first come, first serve basis. And so make sure that if this is something you're interested in, please message us as soon as possible. The best way is going to be either to DM us on whatever social media you see this on, or to just shoot me an email at zach@gtperformance.co. That is .co, not .com. zach@gtperformance.co. And we'll hop on a phone call to discuss everything more in depth. We are going to have a trial day for this. So if it's something that you're interested in, but you're not 100% sure, we're going to have a day here. We don't have it scheduled, but in the very near future where you can come in, you can try it out, you can see if it's a good fit, see if you like it, see if it makes sense for you. But again, this is going to be on a first come, first serve basis. So make sure you reach out as soon as possible so we can get in contact with you and get that scheduled. And then what's going on in my life? What's going on as a sports parent? What's going on in my personal life? And so Grace has been doing really well on a number of different endeavors. The one quick scary story I'll tell you about, I was not there. We had Evie's party at my parents' pool recently. So her second birthday will be the day after this is released. But we had her party, and while I was home with Evie waiting to bring her over, Grace was at the pool with Rachel, my parents, and everybody. And everybody was around the pool. She was nice and safe, but she reached for something and she fell in. Now, if I was there, I am way too anxious. I would have jumped in immediately and got her. But Rachel was, as she was on her way over, saw that Grace just popped right back up and was able to swim over safely to the side. So she fell into the deep end and she was able to swim over and get herself to safety, which was huge. As a parent, that is such a big relief to know that your kid, if they fall into that situation, they can swim their way out of it. Before the summer started, she couldn't swim a lick. She couldn't do anything. But she's been doing swim lessons and she's been practicing a lot. She's a little fish. She loves being in the water, and she can swim, man. She can actually swim. She's doing in the pool. She's doing her front flip. She's diving down, trying to touch the bottom. Like, it's been really exciting to watch her swim development. We're still making progress on the roller skating stuff that we've talked about. That party's gonna be coming up in about 2.5 weeks. She's making a lot of progress there. Gymnastics going good. Soccer's going good. Everything's good with her. Evie really likes gymnastics, which I love to see. You never know if this is something they're going to be bought into, if they're not going to like it. But she's having a lot of fun with it. Last week, we went to Idlewild on the same day we were going to do gymnastics. And so we were thinking, hey, are we going to skip gymnastics? Because gymnastics is an every week, year round type of deal. And so obviously, sometimes we're just not going to be able to make it. And so we were thinking, hey, do we get to skip gymnastics so we get there a little earlier? And Evie heard the word gymnastics and she goes, gymnastics, I'm so excited. And so obviously, we did not skip gymnastics. She has a lot of fun whenever she does it. And it's her birthday, man. I can't believe that little girl's 2. She is way too smart to be a 2-year-old, though. She speaks so much. She talks so much. She comprehends so much. And that little girl, she's a ball of energy. I can't believe she's 2 already, man. And then on a personal note, I've been training for some stuff. And I want to extend a personal invite to anybody who's listening to this. On Sunday, August 16th, we're putting on a little Apex athlete type competition. So Apex is this awesome new competition that Tim Riley's put together where you go through a series of events. And so you go through Fast 40, which is a 40-yard dash with a 1-yard build-in. You do an overall overhead med ball throw for distance. You do a broad jump. You do an approach vertical jump. You do barbell bench press. For the guys, it's 225 pounds, as many reps as you can. You do chop bar deadlift, 405 pounds, as many reps as possible in 60 seconds. And then you run a mile. And so on Sunday, August 16th, no cost, no formal competition. It's just something I wanted to do, but the Apex competitions are just too far away for me to actually make it to them at this stage of my life. And so we're putting on just a handful of us are getting together and we're going to compete. I've got the lasers, I've got the Vertec to test the approach. And so if that's something you're interested in, any adult who's listening to this, just shoot me a message. I'll give you all the info. And we'll get out there and we'll see if we can still be athletic. I just recently did a little trial run of all of the events. And so I'm a little disappointed in some, excited about some, but more importantly, man, I've just been getting out there. I've been training with a goal for the first time in a while that I'm actually really interested in. The only other thing I've ever trained for since being done with my playing career has been running a 5K, and I am not a distance guy, so that didn't light me up inside. I want to hold myself publicly accountable right now. I'm going to tell you the numbers that I'm at right now that I hit and what I hope to hit here in 2.5 weeks whenever we actually go live with the competition. So on the fast 40, again, this is a 40-yard dash with a 1-yard run in. So you're going to be faster with this than you would with a standing stationary full laser 40. And so I went 4.80 in the fast 40. I started at a 4.87, which was about 3 weeks into my training. I couldn't test right away. Obviously, I would have blown a hamstring out if I tested without having sprinted in forever. So I went 4.87 the first time I did it, at a 4.8 right now. Broad jump, I don't know, man. I don't think this one was legit. I guess the tape measure wasn't fully pulled tight, or maybe like I just was really feeling it that day whenever I tested. I jumped a 10-foot broad jump, but I haven't come close to that any other time. I've been consistently between like 9.3 and 9.7. And then out of nowhere, I jumped a 10-foot one day and I jumped it twice. So don't know, man. Don't know what we're going to pull out on game day right there. The overhead med ball throw for distance, I'm at like 54 feet. I'm not going to win any awards for the overhead med ball throw. Really got to work on some form. Just did that one time. Haven't worked on it other than that. Not the one I'm most interested in, and also probably not going to be my superpower. Approach vertical jump, I'm touching 10.7.5 right now. I'm kind of disappointed with the progress I've made on that one. Again, it's not something I've worked on too much, but I started at 10.6, at 10.7.5 right now. Really wanted to touch 10.9 on game day, but it's not looking like we're making the headway to get there. What are the other ones? 405 trap bar deadlift. I hit 25 reps in 60 seconds. I had to change up my form a little bit when I videotaped myself first couple times. I realized I wasn't getting full hip extension, so I had to really lock out. I brought one of my assistant coaches in, had him hold me accountable during the actual set. Hit a legit 25 reps in 60 seconds, and then bench press, I'm sitting at about 12 reps. I probably won't hit too many more than that on game day. The strength wise, like I'm cool. If I hit 12 to 15 reps on bench, I hit 25 reps on the trap bar deadlift. Like I'm cool. I'm solid with those numbers. Running the mile after doing the trap bar deadlift is serious. It's tough. And so my fresh mile, I'm at like 6:35. My mile after the 405 deadlift was 6:52. And so if I could get down to like 6:35, 6:40 after the deadlift, I'd be pretty pumped about that. But yeah, so anybody who wants to come out and compete on Sunday, August 16th, just shoot me a message. I'll give you the information. Other than that, I do always have to remind you that everything in these newsletters, podcasts, social media, and on our website is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice for you or your athlete. Please consult directly with a healthcare practitioner. And until next time, go be great out there.
Yeah, straight A student, but I'm friends with the cool kids. Following the rules and the rubric. Freestyle on the bus and it's too lit. Everybody like